Parker Schnabel is all set for his big Alaska venture, and he feels that it is very important for his future. Hopefully, they can just hatch a plan and be rich. Just outside Fairbanks, Alaska, Parker is trying to dig himself out of a hole. Over the last 5 weeks, he has dropped nearly $250,000 opening the Wolf Cut, a piece of virgin ground he is praying would deliver a big amount of pay dirt. Parker guesses that there are supposed to be a few thousand ounces of gold in this piece, and he is hoping to extract half of it. So far, he hasn't mined a single ounce. According to Parker, mining is a gamble, but it's really tough when one has to spend a lot of money stripping the ground, and it's a great disappointment when no gold comes out of it. Previously, to his great shock, Parker found a lake in place of a cut. To get down the pay at the Wolf Cut, Parker's crew battled flood after flood. A crew member, Phil, observed that the water level had risen to 8 inches in the last 10 minutes. A distraught Parker looked at the water rushing in fiercely and wished Howe should have never gotten into this mess. Now, after pumping the cut dry, the team is back on the pay dirt. Tyler mentions how Parker has taught her about how patience is important in gold mine prospecting. She is really excited to find some gold in the ground, as it is so much rewarding when one is running through a ground that has never been touched. Tyler Mahoney is a trainee boss who is steering a sluicer while Parker's red rocking wash plant is fed with 120 yards of pay dirt every hour. Tyler knows that they have tried so hard to get to this point with such a great effort, and she feels that the reward is so close. Meanwhile, another crew member, Michael Baudry, asks a colleague to send it all to the yard. Another crew member, Jared Chase, chants jokingly that all they have to do is to scoop dirt and then dump dirt repeatedly. Phil Wickard is very much satisfied with their performance and thinks that they will reach the Bar Wilson in no time. Parker checks out the cut and comments that it would be nice to take the dirt out at the width to that edge. In this way, they double the area. He decides to expand the cut, hoping to bring in as much gold as possible before winter hits, but it comes with a big risk. However, a crew member, Mark Fors, warns him that the cut can be easily filled up with water. If that happens, then the dozer will be underwater, and they won't be able to get their required pay. Now, Parker knows that it's not an ideal situation, but this is how mining works, like a gamble. So basically, he's in for a penny, in for a pound. Mark's idea is to keep digging in the higher area, bringing dirt from there, and try to keep the water out of the situation. Water is their main threat right now, as they never know when it will start flooding again. Parker is quite apprehensive about putting his hand into the Alaskan ground because he feels that the water situation here is pretty precarious. He keeps on piling up dirt from the creek side and both ends like others, so they might strike some bit of gold. The Wolf's Cut is located in a valley between 2 creeks and a dredged old pond, making it vulnerable to flooding. To protect the pit, Parker's crew built a trench around the 3-corner section to prevent any water and channel it to its source or pond away. It is very important to keep the water level down to the point where it is not breaching their accord. Tyler notices fretfully that the water level is rising quite rapidly. After peering closely, she confirms her fears that it is definitely rising. On top of clearing tailings, Tyler monitors the water levels. Tyler is feeling threatened to be in such a precarious situation, as she considers herself quite underqualified to handle situations like these. She definitely doesn't want to disappoint Parker, as he has put her in this position, trusting that she would be able to do so. They can't afford any mishaps at this point, because they are so close to the end of the season. Alas, the water is not listening to her wails and is still not going down. She hesitantly calls Parker, informing him that the pumps are not working on their own, so Parker tells her that she needs to pump again. Tyler nervously starts the pumping machine, as she is quite unconfident about handling them. It is then Parker also notices a sudden blaring stream of water piercing from an end into the cut. Tyler explains that they just got a blow-up hole in the wall, and she fears that if the water keeps on coming like this, the whole area will flood in no time. Parker is thoroughly disappointed. Parker doesn't give up and decides to push some mud on the opening in order to block the water flow. However, Tyler knows that the situation is quite alarming. After smudging the hole with layers of mud, the water stops for the time being, and Parker is thoroughly relieved to be out of the hot water for the time being. Still, he didn't know that the situation was that bad. He has never done this before, and the whole situation is bringing new challenges to him and making him quite nervous. After a few hours, his crew is smoothly sluicing away dirt from the Wolf Cut. Phil is having a great time penetrating the ground with those rippers. Michael is watching the whole operation from the top and is quite alert, ready to inform if a sudden spurt of water comes out in order to hinder his operations. Phil thanks him for watching his back. After patching a hole in the wall of the Wolf Cut, Parker, Schnabel, and crew are sluicing at great speed to mine out the cut. Parker is still very precarious, although he knows that what happened was temporary. For this reason, he wants to line that area as soon as possible. He still feels that it will work out. While scraping out dirt from the cut, Mark's bucket hits a shaft. He explains that the old-timers dug those shafts opening to the valley. He really hopes that there isn't any cavern or a room full of water inside, otherwise he can fall in and lose his hover or the dozer. Mark's dozer is rapidly delving the mud from the rocks and dumping into the water strewn in the cut. Tyler is monitoring everyone's performance and is satisfied that all their trucks and diggers are running quite smoothly, and she really hopes that it all goes like this until it pays off and they really hit some gold. Meanwhile, takes a break and heads off in his car as he has to clear up other things, but he will definitely be back and give the crew all the help they need. Jared informs that they have collected 110 loads out of the wolf cut. Michael adds that depending on how soft the bedrock is up there, he is hopeful they would get their 40 loads of pay as well. The solace is suddenly interrupted by a breach. While ripping the wolf cut with a dozer, Phil has opened up a hole in the floor of the 30-foot deep cut. A panicked Tyler rushes to the spot and finds out that the water is coming out at great speeds, more than they can pump. She actually thinks they have hit an old mine shaft because there is a point where it is bubbling up. The area around the wolf cut is rigged with an abandoned network of mine shafts and tunnels that have filled with water over decades. Now all that accumulated water is pouring back into the cut, threatening to shut Parker's operations down once again. Jared asks Mike whether he is able to get down and reach out. Mike readily agrees. It's the second time in just 2 weeks that the crew has struck an old-timer's mine shaft. Mike does his best to put tons and tons of dirt in that hole, and the hole is just devouring it. The thing is not working. The crew watches helplessly as more and more water bubbles out from that underlying hole. They fear that very soon the whole ground will be flooded with that unwanted water. An anxious Tyler asks Mike to back off the truck from the cut. However, there is one excavator that is stuck on the other end, and Tyler doesn't know how to get that thing out. Jared asks Tyler if she wants him to take that excavator out from there, and she agrees. Jared hits the cab, and this is the first time he has ever had a life jacket inside of a cab. He decides to make his way out into the deep water as Tyler watches him having a terrified look. Slowly and gradually, Jared dives the dozer into the flooding water. Parker's crew has struck an old mine shaft filled with millions of gallons of water that is rapidly flooding the wolf cut. Now operator Jared is trying to save the $500,000 480 excavator. As his cab splashes through the water, Tyler screams in terror. However, Mike and Phil encourage and guide Jared to pull himself up and place his tracks in order to get up to that excavator. Slowly and gradually, Jared manages to reach the other end safe and sound. Phil exclaims about that menacing hole, and Tyler feels that lucky that they got out of it, as it is a complete nightmare. She knows there is no feed in it, and there is no way they are getting any pay out of it any soon. She is worried about Parker freaking out. Parker reaches the drowning spot as soon as he hears the news. His $250,000 wolf cut is again drowned in nearly 30 feet of water. He looks at the subdued cut in distress and blurts out that this is the stupidest place and stupidest business in the world. Clearly, he is upset as he feels they are just putting money into the fire. He then decides to pull out the pumps and check the plant to see what they have got. To keep his Alaskan dream alive, Parker needs the wolf cut to deliver a miracle payday. Mark tells him that they did their best, and Parker readily agrees. Later, Parker's trainee mine boss, Tyler Mahoney, cleans up the first of the gold from the wolf cut. She expertly washes off the dirt to reveal the shiny gold flakes in the strainer. Tyler reveals that Parker and she have been working together for years, and every single season she has tried to prove her gold mining skills, and she really hopes that this is the season. She has tried to prove her gold mining skills, and she really hopes that this is the season she actually proves herself. She wants to work so hard so that she can be promoted to be the mine boss. Tyler really wishes that since they have toiled a lot in that wolf cut, it should yield some of the gold.